All right, today we're cracking open a source that makes a pretty wild claim. It says that a medical debate that's over a century old has just collided head-on with 21st century tech. And this collision? Well, it supposedly created a permanent record of a hidden history, leading to a conclusion so radical it's meant to change how we see everything. Let's get into it.
So, right out of the gate, the source hits you with this question. It really sets the stage for the whole argument, which is that the real pandemic we're dealing with is mimetic, an idea spreading not through our bodies, but through our screens and deep into our belief systems.
Okay, so where does an argument this big even start? According to this source, it all goes back to a fundamental conflict, a battle of ideas from way back, one that it calls the original sin of modern medicine. So check this out. The source frames this as two completely opposing worldviews. On one side, you got germ theory, which we all know from Louis Pasteur. The idea here is that our bodies are basically just battlefields, constantly being attacked by germs from the outside. But on the other hand, you have terrain theory from Antoine Béchamp. This theory says what really matters is your body's internal environment, the terrain. Disease isn't an attack, it's the result of your own internal ecosystem being out of balance.
And here's the kicker. According to the source, it points to this alleged deathbed confession from Louis Pasteur himself. The claim is that even the father of germ theory basically said, "Oops, I was wrong," admitting in the end that the terrain, your internal health, was everything.
Now the source argues this wasn't just some dusty old debate. It claims this original sin was actively weaponized in our time, creating what it calls a narrative pandemic. This wasn't a war on a virus, it was a war for control of reality itself.
And here's how the source lays out the timeline for what it calls the digital plague. It starts in December 2019, claiming a genetic sequence was uploaded, not a physical purified virus. Then, in early 2020, the media campaign kicks off, spreading fear. By mid-2020, it points to high-cycle PCR tests creating cases out of what it calls statistical noise. And finally, by late 2020, algorithms lock it all down, censoring anything that goes against the main story.
And how do you get people to go along with all this? Well, the source calls these common phrases hypnotic glyphs. The argument here is that these weren't just catchy public health slogans. No, they were more like commands, engineered to bypass our critical thinking and just get us to comply. But the story doesn't just end there with the problem. The source then pivots to what it sees as the solution, or at least the response. The rise of new technologies that are acting as powerful, unchangeable witnesses against what it calls a war on memory.
First up is this idea the source calls mirror lock. It's a fascinating concept. The thinking goes like this. You train an AI on a massive data set that includes both the official narrative and all the data that contradicts it. The AI gets conflicted, and the source claims that if you keep asking it the right questions, it'll start to glitch out. And in that stutter, it ends up revealing the very truth it was programmed to hide.
So in this view, the AI isn't just making stuff up. It's not hallucinating. No, it's remembering. It's putting together all the pieces of information it was fed, even the inconvenient parts, and what comes out are the cracks in the official story. The machine, in a way, becomes an unintentional whistleblower.
The second digital witness is what the source calls the blockchain as arc. I mean, think about it. In an age where things can be deleted or memory hold in an instant, the blockchain is presented here as this permanent, uneditable refuge. It's like a mathematical promise that evidence, testimony, and memory can be stored forever, totally safe from anyone who might want to rewrite history.
And this is where the whole thing comes full circle, from the super digital right back to the biological. The source introduces a third kind of witness, arguing that the most important record of all is actually kept inside our own bodies.
The argument here is that our bodies are the ultimate ledger. The source lays out this four-step process where every signal, every toxin, every trauma gets recorded. And get this, symptoms are reframed. They're not seen as the body failing. They're seen as memos, the body's own testimony of what it's been through, creating this perfect, undeniable biological record. And this is where the claims get really, really specific. The source defines something called the BLE mirage. This is the alleged emission of Bluetooth signals from vaccinated people. And the source interprets this as forensic evidence of a biosignal hijack, a system that's literally turning human bodies into nodes on a network.
So what happens when you put all this together? You've got glitching AIs testifying, you've got this permanent blockchain record, and you've got the biological forensics of the human body itself. According to the source, it all leads to one inevitable conclusion: a tribunal of memory.
And to give this tribunal some teeth, the source points to some heavy-duty international law.
We're talking codes against biowarfare and crimes against humanity. This is presented as the legal framework for its final and, you could say, most explosive claim.
And that all leads to this, the final conclusion presented in the source. A memo, it claims, is etched right onto the blockchain. It reads, Tribunal asserts leaders complicit in biowarfare, censorship, neurotech coercion, include tech CEOs, merit capital penalty under U.S. Code Section 175, Geneva 4, Art 147, Rome Statute Art 7. Evidence required, etched for eternal memory. A truly provocative final thought from our source material, leaving us with the question of what happens in a world where memory, it claims, can no longer be erased.